people say type 2 diabetes runs in my family. I get that. But in this video, I want to go a little deeper and talk about the lifestyle and the habits of, folks who are prone to type 2 diabetes. My name is Akil Sherman, and I help busy professionals between the ages of 35 and 55 drop stubborn body fat and develop a healthy and sustainable lifestyle, all within my 6-month online program. You can go to akilsherman.com for more information. In these videos, I just want to give you some actionable information that you can use today. So let's get into it. I've been a certified trainer for 24 years. And if I haven't heard it once, I heard it a million times that, people say, well, type 2 diabetes runs in my family. Type 2 diabetes runs in my family. And when I hear that, the first thing I think is lifestyle. And I think about, you are likely someone who grew up in a home where there was a lot of sugar and saturated fat being consumed, and it also plays a part, body type plays a part. So there are 3 main body types and 2 subtypes. So we have ectomorph, which are people who are naturally slim. We have mesomorph, who are people who are naturally athletic and have a V taper, a V build, like broad shoulders, small waist, Coke bottle frame. And then we have endomorph. And endomorphs are people who can put weight on very easily and have a difficult time getting it off. And then we have ectomeso, who are slim folks who can put weight on, but if they stop exercising or eating right, they'll lose it. And then we have endomeso, which are people who can get the weight off, but they still have trouble, but it's not quite as difficult for them as a pure endomorph. And so I am more of an endomeso or endomorph. That's more of where I'm at on the spectrum. And so type 2 diabetes runs in my family, frankly. And my father passed away from complications from type 2 diabetes. Let me just be very transparent about that. And so, I look at that because endomorphs, we tend to have the belly, the love handles, and the back fat. And, we can look at starch and gain 10 pounds. And with that comes the prevalence for insulin resistance. And so when it comes to type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance is basically where your pancreas gets maxed out from constant spikes in the insulin that it has to release. It can no longer produce the insulin, and then you go from pills to the shot, and have to intake insulin externally because your pancreas no longer produces insulin. So the far end of the spectrum of insulin resistance is type 2 diabetes. But I want to make a big point here that insulin resistance is a spectrum. It's a spectrum. That means you can have some insulin resistance, before you are full-blown type 2 diabetic, which is, when you go to the doctor and they talk about your BMI and they talk about being pre-diabetic, they're like, hey, they're basically saying you have some insulin resistance, and if you continue down this path, you're going to have some serious complications. That's what that all boils down to. And so my whole point in this video, people talk about type 2 diabetes running in their family. Well, just because it runs in your family doesn't mean you are destined or you're destined to get it. You have control based on your nutrition and activity level. So even if you have developed some insulin resistance from a past of consuming refined carbohydrates, processed sugars, and saturated fat, you can turn that around. So to give you, some perspective, we have refined carbohydrates such as corn, rice, pasta, wheat, and potatoes, and bread. So those are what we consider refined carbs. And then we have processed sugar, which would be like the pop, the soda, the cake, the cookies, the junk food. And then we have saturated fat. And a simple example of that would be like cheap fast food meat. It's like some low quality meat that we would get from the drive-through. And so those items create a spike in our insulin, which then tells the body to create new fat cells. And over time, as we consume those foods, we continue to create that spike in our insulin. And then like we talked about, it gets to a point where the pancreas can no longer produce the insulin, and now we have to take it in externally because we have type 2 diabetes. But if you listen to what I'm saying there, that is choice. We have a choice when it comes to selecting the foods that we eat and then the activity that we decide to partake in. Like if you eat those foods, don't exercise, don't drink your water, don't get good sleep, you're contributing to the possibility of getting the type 2 diabetes. Now, if you have family members that have already suffered from type 2 diabetes, now you are increasing the possibility of you having type 2 diabetes. So, you know, having the possibility is one thing, but then behaving in a way to manifest it is something entirely different. So just because it's, been identified in your family does not mean you're going to get it. But if you behave in a certain way, then yes, you expose yourself to that possibility. Okay. So that's what I want you to think about. Between your body type, between creating that insulin resistance and then consuming those foods, you set yourself up for failure, essentially. Now, I don't want to be all Dr. Doom and Gloom. So what we can do, if we are looking at insulin resistance and the possibility of type 2 diabetes, we want to start eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. We want to consume lean sources of protein. We want to consume gluten-free grains. We want to drink our water, and we want to get to exercising and getting our sleep. We want to put all that together. So therefore, we move away from the insulin resistance and we move away from type 2 diabetes. One thing that I have researched thoroughly, and I recommend you do the same, but I am a huge fan of water fasting, because what water fasting does is help reset your insulin resistance, and therefore it changes how your body responds to sugar and how your body stores fat. And I will say this, there are a lot of people out there, are a lot of naysayers about water fasting who have never tried water fasting. So there's that. It's people who have heard, I've heard about water fasting, or there's really been, hearsay. They heard about some stuff and now they have an opinion based on what they heard. Have you done it? Then hush. I have been water fasting for the last 3 years, and it has transformed my health immensely. And if nothing else, it has eliminated the stubborn body fat that I had all the difficulty in getting rid of, from my belly fat to the back fat to the love handles. Eliminated it. Now, let me also add, though, it was not all about the fast itself. Water fasting is a tool that we want to leverage along with exercise and nutrition. Okay, I want to make that very clear. People think that, oh, all the success is based on me only consuming water for this allotted time. No, the water fasting sets your body up to respond more effectively and efficiently to the exercise and the nutrition that you do once you break and come out of your fast. And so that's what I actually show and teach and train and coach my clients with and on, is water fasting in conjunction with a properly structured workout program, as well as educating them on how to eat. So therefore, they don't create new fat cells from the nutrition. And when we put that all together, they are wildly successful. Every person that has followed my directions with that approach has seen success because it worked for me. It's not a me thing. It's a human body thing. All right. So just context. But my whole point, though, is that the water fasting can help move you away from type 2 diabetes if that is the direction you're headed in. Now, if you already have diabetes, that's a different topic. That's a little, I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to pretend to be one of those internet doctors that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Talk to your physician. But I would say this, ask them if water fasting is something that you can do. Ask them, I would say that. And if they, or go to a holistic or a functional medicine doctor and get their opinion, because sometimes the traditional doctors don't know. They're not very well versed about the topic either. Okay. So the overall premise of this is just to encourage you to understand that if type 2 diabetes runs in your family, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. What that means is that if you behave in certain, if you engage in certain behaviors, you expose yourself to the possibility of getting type 2 diabetes. But it's not an automatic, oh, you're going to get type 2 diabetes. Like I said, my father unfortunately passed away from type 2 diabetes, but I am not going to get type 2 diabetes. You know, because my lifestyle supports me not getting type 2 diabetes. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. I would love to get your feedback and hear what you thought about what I talked about in this video. And in the interim, have a great week. I look forward to talking to you again, and take care. Thanks for watching.